All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're cracking open the toolbox for generative AI. I mean, if you've ever found yourself wondering, okay, I get how to use an AI model, but how do I actually build something with it? Then you're in the right place. Let's jump right in. So, look, you've probably played around with an LLM, right? Maybe you've even made a few API calls, but you know there's this massive gap between sending a single prompt and building a full-blown real-world application. So how do you actually bridge that gap?
Okay, so first things first. Let's talk about what actually happens the moment you decide to go beyond that simple API call.
Because the second you try to build something, you get hit with this alphabet soup of names, right? LangChain, LlamaIndex, Chainlit, Bedrock. It's honestly overwhelming. You start asking yourself, okay, which one do I even learn? Which one is the best one? And maybe the most confusing part, why do so many of them seem to do the exact same thing?
And this right here, this is really the heart of the problem. A basic LLM call, it's super simple. Request in, response out. But a real app, that's a whole different beast. It's an entire pipeline. You know, if you want to build a bot that answers questions about your company's documents, you can't just throw the files at it. You've got to ingest the data, then transform it, create embeddings for it, retrieve the right info, and you have to do all of that before the LLM even sees a single word.
So, how are we supposed to make sense of all these different pieces? Well, there's actually a perfect analogy for this that makes it all click. Okay, imagine LLMs are like discovering a massive gold vein. The gold itself? Incredibly valuable, but you can't just walk up and pick it up with your bare hands. You need tools, right? You need pickaxes and hammers and carts to actually mine that gold and turn it into something useful. Well, those tools, those are the frameworks. They are literally the tools you use to extract the value from the AI.
All right, let's open up this toolbox. First up, we've got the orchestrators. And we're going to start with probably the biggest name in the game right now.
LangChain. Yeah, this is usually the first one everybody runs into, and for good reason. The best way to think about it, it's the Swiss Army knife of the Gen AI world. Its main job, its whole reason for being, is to help you chain together all those different steps we talked about. The data ingestion, the retrieval, the LLM call, into one single cohesive workflow.
I mean, it gives you modules for pretty much everything. Standard ways to talk to any LLM, tools for data retrieval, and then these really powerful things called agents, which, get this, let the LLM itself decide which tool it needs to use, like doing a quick web search or querying a database. And here's the crucial part for anyone doing serious development. It comes with LangSmith and LangServe. These are tools built specifically for debugging, testing, monitoring, and deploying your app. This is the stuff that takes you from, hey, that's a cool experiment, to this is a real production-ready product.
Let me give you a perfect example. Let's say you want to ask your company database questions, but just in plain English, right? You can't just send your questions straight to the LLM and hope for the best. Nope. The framework, LangChain in this case, it acts like a project manager for the whole thing. It figures out the best prompt to send, it tells the LLM to turn your question into SQL code, then it takes that code and actually runs it against your database. And then, finally, it brings you back a nice, clean answer. It's like the conductor of an orchestra, making sure every part plays at the right time.
But look, a Swiss Army knife is great, but it's not always the best tool for a super specific job. Sometimes you need a specialist.
So, say hello to LlamaIndex. If LangChain is the general contractor building the whole house, think of LlamaIndex as the master librarian who's an absolute genius at organizing the library inside it. It is laser-focused on one thing and one thing only, structuring your private data so an LLM can answer questions about it as accurately and effectively as possible.
LlamaIndex is what you reach for when your biggest headache is the data itself. It's got this huge library of connectors to pull in info from basically anywhere. PDFs, CSVs, APIs, whatever you've got. But it's real magic. The thing it does better than anyone is how it indexes that data and then uses these super advanced query engines to find the exact little piece of context the LLM needs to give you a great answer.
So you see, they're not really competitors. They're just focused on different things. LangChains is your go-to for orchestration, for complex chains and agents. LlamaIndex is what you grab when your #1 priority is a best-in-class system for indexing and retrieving your data. And here's the kicker. You can absolutely use them together.
Okay, so you've built this powerful engine in the background with LangChain or LlamaIndex. Awesome. But how does a person actually talk to it? You need a front end, right? An interface. And that's where a tool like Chainlit comes in. It's specifically designed to let you build and share a chat interface for your AI app, like really, really fast.
And of course, there are other specialized tools that help round out your toolbox. You've got services like Amazon Bedrock, which basically solves the whole deployment problem for you, giving you scalable access to all sorts of models. Then there's Hugging Face, which is, it's the heart of the open source community. It's where you go to find models, data sets, or tools to fine-tune your own. And yeah, like we just said, Chainlit is there to handle the front end. See? Every tool has its own specific job.
So, with all these different options, how in the world are you supposed to choose? This brings us to what is maybe the single most important mindset shift you need to make.
Here it is. Stop trying to find the one best framework. It doesn't exist. That's the wrong question. And honestly, it's the source of pretty much all the confusion out there.
Instead, here's your new strategy, your new playbook. First, you start with the mission. What problem are you actually trying to solve? That's it. Then, you know your tools. You understand their strengths. So you say, okay, I need best-in-class data handling. I'm grabbing LlamaIndex. I need powerful agents that can use other tools. That's a job for LangChain. I need a front end. Fast. I'm using Chainlit. You combine and conquer. You pick the absolute best tool for each part of the job.
Look, this is the modern way to build with AI. It's not about being loyal to one framework. It's not a sports team. It's about being a smart builder, someone who knows exactly what's in their toolbox and knows precisely which tool to grab for which job.
So there you have it. You have the map to the toolbox. You now know the difference between the gold and the hammers you need to mine it. The only real question left is, what are you going to build first?